Hello everyone, this video is an introduction to Elementor, and Elementor is a page builder. So we want to see how to get Elementor into our website and then start building from there. So first of all, you want to get your domain name and then just put in the domain name that you want, that is purchasing the domain name. Let's say test Elementor. But for the sake of this video, we're trying to keep it as straight to the point as possible. So we are not going to do all of this again. So if you want to see how to build your domain name, how to get your domain name, get your hosting, and also connect your WordPress to it, you can check the video up there that shows introduction to WordPress. You can see all of that process here, but search for it and check for the availability. But for this video, I'm going to be using my local. And also, if you want to see how we do local, how to install local, how to install WordPress locally on your system, you can also check the video showing above there to see how to install WordPress locally on your PC. Alright, so I'm just going to create a domain name. Let's say I want to create a domain name. Continue. Let's say testelementor.com. Alright, and I continue, just put my name and password, wisdom, and I add sites. Now this will take some time to add, and then just give it some seconds, and then when it's done, we can now get ahead. Alright, so this is done, testelementor.com. So I'm just going to go to the WP admin and then open the back end to see what it looks like. I'm going to put wisdom, the username we created before. I also take note of that so you can put that when you're logging in. With username, wisdom, and then I log in. Now when I log in, I'm going to go to the front end to see what it's like, but it's going to be very basic because we've not done anything there. So if I go to visit sites, no, not. I want to open it in a new tab. Open a new tab. So this is what it looks like. Very bare, very basic. Even the sample page is very bare and very basic. So I go back here. Now I want to do introduction to Elementor. Before we do anything, let's just try to build and see the interface of Elementor, how it works out and what to use. So I go to plugin. Elementor is a plugin, and plugins are extra things that we add to our site to increase the functionality of our site. For instance, forms plugin to add form and then collect leads or collect customer information. Alright, so I'm going to search for Elementor. Alright, so it's going to bring out Elementor in a moment. So now we have Elementor, so Elementor website builder, and of course 10 million active installations, last updated 4 days ago, and then it's compatible with my version of WordPress. So you want to make sure it's also compatible with yours. Then I go ahead to install. Then when it's done installing, I'm going to activate. Alright, so now that it's done installing, I'm going to activate it. So activate it means to make it active on your website. So you just bring out all of these. So I can skip for now if I don't want to. Skip. These are the introduction. You can just click the X here to cancel it entirely. Alright, so now brings me back to my dashboard. So if I go to plugins, I'm going to see installed plugins. I'm just seeing only one I'm going to see. So if I come back here, nothing changes because I haven't done much. Now let's create a new page, and let's say we want to create the about us page. I'm going to add page, and we can use any theme for now. About us page. So they are going to pop up because I'm using Elementor for the first time. So show start cancel. So about us page. Or let's say want to do the home page. Let's just do the home page. So I'm going to publish. Alright, and then view page. Now if you view the page, this is what it's going to look like. Very bare, very empty. Now I want to go back to the back end, but I need something that is more. So let's change the theme. I need something that is better than this. But let's use Astra. I think Astra is very light. So talked about 5 themes that you can use up there. You see the information there. 5 themes that you can use as a beginner, so you can get your site started. So let's go to appearance, go to themes, and then I go to Astra, and I'm going to install Astra. Install. Just take some time to install, and then I can activate. Alright, so now that it's done installing, I'm going to activate, and if I activate, the theme is going to change. So if I refresh this, now I can see a different theme. I think this is better, very simple. The header, the logo stays here, the menu stays, the body stays there, and then the footer stays. So if I click on home page, now this is where you're going to see something very empty. Now that's where Elementor comes in, a page builder. So I go back here, and when I go, so I can do that by clicking to pages. I want to edit now. If I click on edit, now this is the default edit page where you can now type and all of that, but because I've installed the Elementor plugin, I'm going to click here. You're going to see edit with Elementor. If I click to open that, yeah, it's going to take some time to load the Elementor plugin. So I want to do an overview of what the Elementor page builder looks like. Now these are some notifications that you will see if you just installed it for the first time. So I'm going to skip this now, but I don't want this home page here. So in case you see this like this, it shows sometimes where it shows you the page title and all of that. So I want to remove it. So I'm going to go to the customize. If I go to customize, I'm going to look for pages and look for where I can hide it. Alright, so once it opens, this is the home page that is showing, so I don't want it to show. I'm going to go to post types. So depending on the theme you are using, you're going to find it around page. So some are going to show you page, some will show you like this one is showing post type. Just make sure you're looking for page. So I'm going to go to single page, right? And here you can see it's page title area. So I'm going to put this off, and when I do, it's going to go away. Then I publish, and when I do that, I can now go back here and refresh this page just to take away the home page. I want everything to be plain so that I can customize it myself. Then these are some checklists that you can do if you're coming to Elementor for the first time. But let's do an overview. Let's do an overview. So starting from here, this is what you're going to see. Alright, so from the top here, this Elementor logo, just showing you some things: team builder, history, user preference, keyboard shortcut, and exit WordPress. You can check all of that later, but they're not so important. Now if I click on the plus, it shows you the next thing. So there's something called widgets. So widgets are used to import things that we can use on the website. So for instance, the container, things we work with, the container, the grid, the images, the text, and the buttons, they are all called widgets. So that's what they are. So there are a number of them here. Now there's the layout, container, or grid, which we're going to work with. Now for the basic, it has the basic, it has the layout, it has the pro, has the general, the link in bio, and all of that. So for the layout, it has the container and the grid. We'll see how they work. For the basic, it has the heading, the image where you can add images, the text editor, so the video, if you want to add a video to your site, a button, a divider, spacer, Google Maps. And so if you see the video we did about contact form, and then we have the Google Maps here, that's how they got it. Then icon. Then this is the pro feature for Elementor. So if you upgraded to the pro feature, you can have all of this: the posts, the portfolio, the menu, the form, and all of that. You can check that out later. Then the general, tabs, accordion, what we use for FAQs, image box, and all of. We'll check out all of this, testimonial, and these are called widgets. Now that's what the plus icon is for. Now the next one here is global, and of course you have to be upgraded to the pro feature to use this one. So let's see the next one. This one is the site setting. If it's not clicking, you can just refresh the page and see. Alright, so the site setting. Now site setting talks about the global, right? Where you define what it should be, global colors. And of course, if you have a color palette you're working with, or a brand color, you can make all of that into this. So for instance, we can change this primary color to say red. If our company or the company we're working with is red, we can make it into red. Then your secondary color, you can just define this, make it blue. Let's say we want to work with this grade of blue. And then your text color, let's say we want to have it something darker, your text color. And then your accent color, let's say we want to work with yellow, orange, yellow, something like this. So we can do all of that here, and we'll see the application they use when we start designing. Alright, so we can also add more colors and all of that. So if I go back, okay, I'm going to save. Let's save. So if I go back, the same thing happens to the fonts, the global fonts. The primary font, you can change that here, change the family, change the size, do all of that. The secondary, the same thing. And then I'm going to discard this. I didn't make any change there. The typography, you can do all of that here, change the body text, the header 2, header 3, header 4 till header 6. And then the buttons, I can change the button here, typography, what is the type I want it to have, default. But this is just the global setting. The images, the form, the site identity, all of this can be done from here. Now the next one is, I'm going to cancel this, I'm going to save and leave. Now the next one is this one here, structure. Now what structure does is it gives you easy navigation or easy control for the pages. So for now there's nothing here because our home page is empty, but when we start fixing things into the home page, we'll see how it works. So the next one is, this is Astra theme. So because I've already done Astra, that's why this logo is showing here, because I'm using the Astra theme. Now this home page is showing you that you're on home page. There are no other pages that you have here. If you had others, they were going to show here. Now the settings, the page settings, the title, what should the title be? Is it going to be published, draft, or all of that? Featured image. You can also do all of this editing from the other side, the back end. And I'm going to change this one to Elementor full width because that's what I want it to have. Okay, so go back to the settings and then Astra settings if there are other things like that that you need to do, but that's settings. Now the next one here is the desktop view. Now when building, right, when building, you have your desktop view, and also is because of responsiveness. So we're also building for desktop, different sizes of different screens. So desktop, we have our portraits, which is for tablets, right, for iPads and all of that. Then we have our mobile. So we are doing all of this here. So you can see what was available as menu here is now collapsed in the mobile version. So if I click on the hamburger menu, I can now see home page and sample page. The same thing happens. So we build, depending on the approach you want to use, you can do mobile first or you can do desktop first design, but recommended just do desktop first, and then you can now reduce to the mobile, because some things like text will be changing and all of that, so you have to adjust it for different devices. And then here you have checklists, what appeared before when we just opened the site, and then here you have what's next, and these are just basic information. So I'm going to cancel this. Here you have for finder, you can look for things and search for them. Then here you have help, and here you have preview changes. So in case you made a change and you want to preview what it looks like, it's going to show like the original site. So that's what preview is. And then here finally you have the publish. So any change you make here is not going to reflect here until you publish it. So I'm going to refresh this now so that this home page can go away, so we have something very plain. Alright, so we're now going to the widgets, right? We're going to the widgets since we've seen all of that. This is the header, this is the body where we play around, and then this is the footer. So having gone through what the interface of Elementor looks like, I think this is a good ground to now start building from here. So let's say we want to build our home page, and of course you can pick up your reference from anywhere, either online or any website that you admire. So a container, like the name is, it contains, a container contains. So if I drag and I click on plus here, now there are many ways to, you can see drag widgets here, there are many ways to do it. If I click on the plus, it shows me flexbox or grid. Now this is flexbox or the container. If I click on it, I'm going to see different structures. I want it to have one, but it's going to be positioned vertically. I'll choose this. If I want it to position horizontally, I'm going to choose this, and all of that, you can do all of that here. But I'm going to click on this one here because I want it to position vertically, right? So if you see, this has changed. All of this has changed. So from what it used to be, if I cancel it, this is what it used to be. Now if I import it, it now shows me something different. Edit container. So it shows me layout, style, and advanced. But for now, I'll be doing them one by one. Now if I want to go back to where I used to be, I'm going to go to add element, and add element means add widgets, right? So if I click on this to edit, you just click on this 6 dots here. This one is to cancel, to remove it, and this one is to add a new layer on top of this layer. So if I click on this, now you can see things, container and additional options. For the container, it's showing you container layout. Flexbox or Grid. Now I'm going to use Flexbox. So Grid has its place and also Flexbox has its place. Now content width is showing you boxed or full width. Now if I do full width now takes the full width, but it takes the full width based on the spacing that has been done from our general page setting. Alright, so I'm going to take this one away, and that's just for full width and then for boxed. Now the width shows you 1140, and of course you can increase it if you want to. 1140 you can, but nothing is going to show now because we don't have anything inside there. Now the minimum height, now you can see here we have pixel, percentage, different units, rem, view width. Now if I put the minimum height, I said I want the minimum height to be maybe 500. The minimum height that this can be is 500. Now the same thing I can say I want to have it view height. Now the meaning of view height is that it's going to take the whole screen, right? The view height. Let's just give it some color so it can make more sense. I'm going to go to this place and choose a color. All right, so this is the meaning of view height. So it takes the whole screen, right? That's the meaning of view height. So if I go back to my layout, that's what view height. Now if I make it 500 pixel and I make this one 500, now it's going to be 500. It doesn't take the whole height. All right, now the same thing happens if I just want it to be, now let's return it to normal so we can just keep building from there, and let's remove this. So reset. Okay, so the next one now is item. I have my row and I have down. Remember when we chose this, it was pointing vertical. Now if I put in something here, let's say I want to have heading, and I want to have another heading. Or something like text. Now it's going to follow down, right? It's going to flow down from top to bottom. Now but if I change this, you can now see it now left and right. The same thing happens, so top to bottom, left and right. That's what direction is. Now for justify content, let's take this one out so it can make more sense. Take this one out. Right, so justify content. This one is justify to the left, justify to the center, justify to the right, justify and have it in the middle, space and all of that. You can do that here. So align items, align to top, align to middle, align to bottom. Not so much is going to show here because of the way it is. So gap in between. So let's bring in another shape here. Now sometimes because of this, that's why we use the navigator, right, to just drag and drop. So sometimes it can be hard to just put them inside. So we've seen the navigator already. So from here I can now, this is going to make more sense now. So align to top, align to middle, align to bottom, and I'm going to align to the top. So the next one is gap. So gap means the space in between these two. For the column, what is it going to be? So let's say we want to have it to be 50. Now I can see this space is increasing. If I say I want to make it 200, the space increases more. All right, and that's what we have for the layout, for the container, the layout. Now the other one is additional, overflow, hidden, and HTML tag. It picks it by default. Now the next one is style. Now what does style do? Style, like the name is, helps you to style both your color, helps you to style both your effects, which is like background, pictures, layouts, and all of that, border, shape dividers, and typography. Now that's what happens in style. Now you can see background layout, border, and then the shape divider. Now for the background, we can see normal and hover. So background type, let's say we want to click on background type. This is the classic. We talked about the color. Now this is gradient, this is video, and this is slideshow. If I click on color, let's choose a color, and I'm going to choose red. So you can see that my background now is red. So that's what style is. That's what styling is. And also you can add an image here by clicking on choose image, and I go to media. There's nothing in media. Now I'm going to install a plugin called Pixabay, so it can help us choose images very quickly. Go to plugins, go to Pixabay. Alright, so you can just import. So you can do that by going to the sites themselves, copy them, and then import them to your site, or you can do that using instant images. So let's install this. When it's done install, just click on activate. Alright, so now we have two plugins activate. So I'm going to go back to this place and then refresh it, because if you don't refresh, it's not going to show. I'm going to publish so that what I've done before is not going to get lost, and I refresh this page. Now if I go to the home page and I refresh this, you see what we just did is going to appear here. And that's what page builder is. That's how we build our pages. So just gradually. Alright, so I still testing out and seeing. So come back to this place and go to style where we are. Now click on image. Now you can see instant images. Alright, so let's say we want to put a city. Just search for city and choose a city. Now we're going to see a city. I think I like this is okay. Taking some time to load, and then I'm going to select. Now you can see we have an image at the background. Now that's easy to just customize your style and do all of that. Now you can put gradient. If I don't want this gradient, you choose the first color here. You choose the first color, and then the second one, you can choose the second one here, and all of that. You can choose the second one here, the gradient color. So now you have your color, and then you have your second color. You can also alternate them by playing around. Just play around with this, your linear, radial, and all of that. Okay, so now we have our background layout. You can also do the video. Yeah, copy your YouTube link and then put them here. It's going to also play here. Now we'll go to our background layout, our background overlay. So background overlay means you already have a background but you want to overlay it with something. So think, for instance, you have your image here. Now I'm going to go to background overlay, but before then we have some settings here for images. Image resolution, you can choose to make it medium, so you can reduce the size to help for your site speed optimization. So position, you can see center, right? Center, you can see center left and all of that. Let's leave it center, but now we're seeing something is kind of repeating. Now I'm going to go to attachment. Attachment means, do I want it to flow, to be fixed, or to continue? Now normally just leave it as default, but except you want to have something that scrolls. Now if I have fixed, this is how fixed appears. It just stays there and everything moves, all of those effects. Now I'm going to leave it as default, so you're going to move along with it. Now repeat, I want no repeat. So no repeat is like this, but the problem is it now cuts out, it doesn't fit well into the box. So that's where display size now comes in. So display size has auto, has cover now expands it to fill up the whole space. And then the same thing with contain makes it where it is custom, you're choosing your value. Now for now, don't leave it as cover, make this one to be full to increase the sharpness. So background overlay, now if I have this and I want it to, let's say it's distracting this text and I want it to be transparent, color, let's choose white or let's choose dark, right? So you can see this is how we now do this, and then we increase the transparency from here. So some of those images you see that are very dark or that are overlaid with something, this is how it's done. And then you increase the opacity, reduce or you increase depending on how you see and how you're designing. Now the next one is border. Border talks about the edges, right? So border talks about the edges. Now let's choose this one and say we want to click on the border. Border talks about the edges. Now the same thing, border type, I can make it solid, and then I can have the border width to be 5, so it can be obvious. Of course you can change the border color here and then make it red, let it be obvious. Border radius, we can have that to be 8, depending, it's going to bend here and do that, all of that here. But we usually use this for images that are within the container, so it doesn't make sense to have border on a full container like this. So we usually use it for images that are within the container. Now shape divider brings something like this, where you can have some effects, right? Some effect on the page, on the section that you're building. You can have them differently. I usually don't use this, it looks amateur sometimes, or most times actually. So I just use plain, simple is beautiful. Alright, so I'm going to remove all of that. So I'm going to take away also the border, none, default, and take away the border radius. Alright, so now that we have that, we have the next one, which is the advanced. Now advanced is having some advanced option like the name is advanced. Now margin is the space between. Now if I put 20 here, that's the best way to explain margin. Margin and padding, they are almost similar, but margin is the space without, the space outside, but padding is the space within, the space inside. So if I have 20 here, I can see, but if I have it 50 or let's say 100, the spacing inside this container is called the padding, while the spacing outside this place is called the margin. So if I increase this to be 200, I'm going to see the spacing outside here now becomes 200. But of course, that's margin and padding. So align self, you can align to the center, you can align to the top, and all of that. So size, CSS ID, CSS class, motion effects. How do you want, let's say you want to add a motion to this. So the same thing for any item you click, any widget you click, you are going to have the same thing. So let's say you want to add your heading text here, which is this thing here. You want to add the motion effect. I'm going to click on entrance and then click fading up. So when you publish and then you refresh your page, now you see it just fades in up. That's motion effect, right? And then we have our transform. You change all of that, rotate. You can experiment with all of this. Background, what kind of background type do you want? Border, mask, responsive. And if you want to hide something on desktop, you want it to be seen on desktop but not to be seen on mobile. So if I want this one to be hidden on mobile, this image to be hidden on mobile, I go to the advanced, then I go to responsive, hide on mobile. Now if I go to mobile, this is hidden. It won't show on mobile, although it's going to show on the iPad and also show on desktop, but on mobile it's not going to show. Alright, so that's how we do for hiding images. So if I click on this, go back to advanced, you can see some things like that. Custom CSS. So custom CSS, if this one is not upgraded, if you don't have the upgraded version of Elementor, you can also do that from the customized parts. Okay, so now that we have Elementor, right, we've seen how to any item you click on, you've seen how to operate the layout, how to operate the style, and also how to operate the advanced, all of this. Now I want to see, let's build something very simple. So if I close this and then I'm going to click on the plus, which you've seen before, and I click on flexbox, click on this. Now I want to give it some padding in between, some padding inside. So I'm going to click on link values together. I want to unlink them. So let's give it some padding of, let's say 40. That's 400. 40 and then bottom 40. That's good. So now I want to have an image. Let's say I want to do like the home page and I want to have welcome to whatever. Let's have my heading. Now I'm going to click on style to style it. But if you don't want to do this repeatedly, you just go back to the site settings where we were, global color, and I'm going to change this. I want it to be red. Global color, you're red, and the text I want to be darker. Alright, so I text to be darker. The accent I want to be yellow. Yeah, this is fine. It should be yellow like this. So I'm going to save changes. Now go back to global fonts, and then I want global fonts, and the primary I want it to change from Roboto to say Inter, and I want the size to also be like 54. So depending on what you want, a 48, depending on what you want, you can do all of that here. Primary 48 and secondary, so you can just customize all of this later. So save changes. Now if I close this, I can now go back so that when I bring in my text or my header, whatever it is, I'm going to do that once and for all. Alright, so now that we are back, let's cancel this, and then we are back to widgets. Now I want to create something like this. Let's remove this. So now that we have this heading, that works. I want to have two compartments, right? And that's what I want to do. So I go to click and to add the widget, and then I put in a container. Now because this one here, shows me my direction. My direction is vertical, and I want this one to be horizontal. I'm going to change it to horizontal, so that when I duplicate, I click on this and I right click, and I'm going to see duplicate here. Right, you see some things like edit container, but I want to duplicate it. It's now two, one here and then one here. I want my image to be here, and I also want my text to be here. So I'm going to bring in my header text here, header text, but I'm going to change this to something else. Now make it Playfair. Okay, so let's see, is this one better? Let's try this one and see, but capital letters are hard to read. So I'm going to click on this. Okay, so make it bold and increase this to probably 54. Let's see what it looks like. The line spacing can also be adjusted. Okay, so I don't like the red, hard to read. So okay, so now we have add text. So let's change this something. Let's say we want to build we're trying to advertise tourism. So make your fantasy a reality. All right, let's make your fantasy into a reality. All right, so we have this as a header. I'm going to add the now this is gradually coming to life. All right, so I'm going to add my body text, which is the text editor, inside that container. Now I can see they are grouped container by container. Now I'm going to choose this and also style it. I want to increase the style. Let's say I want to have it to be 18. And of course, ChatGPT can help you with all of this, generate content for your websites and do all of that. Now I'm going to bring in a button. Now button is going to be inside this place, but I can change this. So learn more or get started. So I can do all of that. Now this is where we're going to put in the link. Now the same thing happens for all of them, the content, the style, and then the advanced. Now I'm going to put in the link here depending on what I want it to be. Maybe but I've not created a page yet, but if I have a page already, once I start typing the name, it's going to bring it out that page here. So sample page or the home page or any page I want, then I create the page and then put in the link here. Now I'm going to change this. I want to increase the size, typography. So I want the size to increase. Let's say I want it to be 16 or 18 or 17 or anyone that suits best. All right, so get started. So I'm going to change the color. So depending on the brand color you're working with, so just make sure you have all of that ready to red. So now we have make your reality or make your fantasy into a reality. Turn your fantasy into a reality. Let's see. Turn your fantasy into a reality. Okay, now we have our body text and then a button. Now this is the way we build in Elementor. Very simple, right? Drag and drop, you know what you want to do and then keep going. So I said we want to have an image here, so I'm going to click on this and then go to style. Now click on the classic and then choose your image that you want. Now let's say I want to have go to instant images and click on tourism. Let's see what we have. All right, so we have some images here. Tourism. Let's say we want to use this. Let's say we want to use this one looks like Arab. So once it's done loading, I'm going to click on select. Now once I do that, do the same thing that we did previously. Go to the position, center. I go to the attachment, default, go to repeat, no repeat, and then I go to cover, right? And then cover just pulls it up this way. Now this is gradually coming to life. This is making sense. Now we can now do the border radius. Go to the border, do the border radius to be 8 so that it's not just flat. Now I want this thing to occupy more space, not just to be at the center. I want some space in here, so I'm going to do that with padding. Go to advanced, increase the padding, make this one 80 or even 120, and then do the same thing for the bottom, 120. Now this is gradually, if I publish this and I let's say I want to increase the height of this one, I go to the height here under the layout and increase the height, right? increase the height. Let's have this way. Okay, the height is increased. Now I want this one to be in the center. I click on it, then go to, now you see how everything we are doing is now connecting. Go to justify content and then click on center. Now you can see everything is on the center now. Now if I publish this and then I come here and I refresh this, everything changes immediately. Everything changes immediately. And of course, if we want to have a very mild background here, we can just choose this and then choose a color. Very mild background here, right? Something very mild, but yeah, something like this. Or you can leave it as plain as it is, right? So as plain as it is going to work. I like it to be plain. Let's just have it like that. You can also use this to hide the panel so you can see what you are building. So now that we have this, we have our text, we have our body text, we have our button, and then we have an image on the right hand side. Now this is okay. Now I'm going to build in the next one. I'm going to build in the next one. Now we can do that by clicking on this plus, or you can duplicate this one. So depending on what you want to do, let's click on the plus and then we choose flexbox. We want it to be arranged horizontally this time. Now I'm going to click on the add and then put in my grid here. Let's say we want to use our grid. Now the column is 3 is fine, and the row is going to be 1. I want to use just 1. Now if I click on open it back, and I'm going to have, I want to add something here. Let's say I want to add images, want to add icon, whatever it is. So I can click to add anything I want to add here. Let's say we want to add a container here, and then just make the container, put in a text here, put in a text here. Let's copy this, copy, but it's going to be a smaller text, and then I paste. Yeah, so let's reduce the size to maybe 24. 24, let's make it 32. I can reduce the line height. All right, make it 28. Reduce the line height and then make it center. Okay, so this one I can have a color for this. Go to style, change the background color. Let's say I want to have blue for this, and then the typography, change the color to white for contrast sake. So let's say I want to have an image here. I click on plus and then I pull in my image icon, and then I want to have this one as well duplicated. I copy and I paste here. I copy and I paste here. So now we have this, but I want this to be center, so I do the same thing, layouts. So you can see once you get the basics, all of them is going to be doing the same thing, right? Doing the same thing. I want to have an image here. I click on instant image and I go to tourists, the people that are touring, tourists. Now once I go to tourists, I can pick anyone. Now since I'm building, I can pick anyone. Alright, so now that it's done loading, I'm going to select it, and now we can see this is gradually coming to life, right? Gradually coming to life. Now you can change this text, change this one. You can also change the color of this one to have some variety based on what the brand color is, so that you don't have color riots based on what the brand color is. Let's have this to be let's say yellow. Let's have this to be orange. Let's say orange. Orange works well. And then I can change this one to black, to dark. Go to the color, go to dark. Alright, so I'm just playing around with the colors, but that's how you change all of the colors and all of that. Now the same thing can happen. Now if you want to duplicate this and then have something else rearrange it, you can duplicate. Now when you do, you now have something like this. So basically you're just building, coming up with what you want, coming up with the design that you want in your mind or that you have already designed. And I can move this. Now doing this can take some, it can just scatter. That's why we now need our navigator. So we go to our navigator, which is our structure, and then click on it, the one you want to move. I want to move this one here. I click on it, which is the image, and I drag it up. Okay, let's drag it into the grid. Yeah, I drag it into the grid. Now I can change this text, I can change this one, and all of that. You can do all of that. Change this image, do the same thing, choose an instant image, and continue. Let's choose this one, and then I select. Now the same thing happens. You can change all of this text, do that. Now the next one, I want to experiment more. I can click on this and then add, let's say I want to add an image. Now let's do static image here. You want to add an image, click on this, and then I go to style, go to the content, go to the image. Let's choose what we have already. Choose this one here. Now with that, but I want the image to be full width. I'm going to click on this and then go to content layout, full width. One of the challenges you're going to have is if the image doesn't fit into, if the size of the image doesn't fit into the square, it's not going to enter. So how to get over that is to remove this, make it the background, add it as the background image, right? Go to style and then add it as the background image so that it can fit into the frame. Now you can see we couldn't do that for image, but we can do that for if it's the background. We want to have it fill up everywhere. Now if I come here and then I click on maximum width, minimum height rather, and I make this one center, position center, alignment default. Now alignment, want to make it stick, which is fixed, and then repeat, no repeat, and then this is cover, right? So when we come to this place, now you can see, of course we can have an image here. We can now do our overlay here. Let's bring in a text. Let's just copy this that we have already, copy this, copy, and then I'm going to paste it here. Now if I click on this, it's at the top, but I want to be in the center. I go to center and then I go to center. Now I can see the application of what we talked about. Now go to style and then change the color for this to white. Style, change the color to white. Now it's still disrupting. That's where we now use our overlay, background overlay. If I choose this and I choose dark color, right, I want it to just be like this, turn your fantasy into reality. Of course you can change all of this content. So let's have it down, and the opacity can increase or decrease depending on what you want to have. Now let's copy this as well, and I'm going to paste it. Now change this one to white as well. Yeah, something darker. Alright, so I'm going to have my call to action button. So you can do that. Once you create one, you can just use them over and over again. Okay, so call to action button. Alright, so with this now I have this turn your fantasy into reality, and of course, yeah, but if you want them to be contained inside, just bring a container, and then pull them into the container so that you can now adjust them together. Pull them into the container and then give your container padding on both sides. So let's say I want to have padding of 250 to the right and 200 to the right and 200 to the left, right? So do the same thing here, make them center, and going to change this one to center, align, and then with that I have what I need. It's now aligned to the center so that in case it stretches, I can also increase it if I want to. Go to advanced and make it 300. Make this one 300. Now when I do, it's going to now have some padding on the left and padding on the right. Now you can see we are gradually building this into a beautiful homepage website, right? If I want to have some space in here, this is too close to this, then that's why we now use the margin. So margin, we said, is the space outside the shape. So margin bottom, let's say I want to use 80, right? And then now you can see the difference. Now gradually we are turning we're really turning our fantasy into a reality. So yeah, and just like that you can keep building and building, keep adding your layer, playing with creativity. Now if I want this to animate and motion effect, what we talked about, fading up. You do the same thing for this motion effect, fading up, and then let's do it for the button. When you come, you fading up. So it does that on scroll. Now if I publish this and I go back to my home page, now this scanty home page, if I refresh this, is now something like this. Can you see? That's cool. That's cool. In matter of minutes, we have been able to do this in matter of minutes. And yeah, in matter of minutes, we've been able to do this. Now that's how you walk around Elementor, building what you want. Now, what if you have you want to work with starter templates? How do we go about that? Right, we want to work with starter templates. So I'll just go back now and install a starter template so that we can now see how to edit with starter templates. So this is how to build from scratch without any starter template in case you want to build a new page that you just created. All right, so I go back to the home page. I go back to my dashboard. We're going to use starter templates. Go to add plugins and then look for starter templates. Starter templates. Yeah, this one here. Now if I install, all of these they're going to go away, or they're going to be on that page. Now if I install, take some time to install, then I can activate. Now it's done installing, so I can activate now. And when I do, I can now be able to make edits to it. So we'll just choose something very simple that we can now edit. So it shows it too. And of course, you can check out the video up there for starter templates. So building with AI website builder, I recommend building with templates for now because this is still getting to be advanced, not yet as good as it should be. So build with templates, and we're working with Elementor. So it's going to bring out, maybe later, it's going to bring out the templates that they have available. Alright, so once it's done loading, you just choose from here templates that you can use. These are premium templates. And let's use this one, Planet Earth. Yeah, Planet Earth indeed. And you can make some changes to the typography here, the color, and then you can continue. So let's say we want to build anything. Let's just change the typography to something, but we can leave it the way it is. I think it's okay. The blue, the green, anyone you choose. So continue. Page builder, continue. Your name, you can, I understand. Then submit your website. So this takes some time to finish building your website, and then you can now refresh to see what your website looks like. So just give some time to load, and then we'll get right into it. Alright, so this at 90 is finalizing last few settings, and it's trying to wrap up so it can be done. And then by the end, we'll see how many seconds it took to build the site. Alright, so it took 1 minute and 24 minutes to build the site. 1 minute and 24 seconds to build the site. So if I click on view site, let's see what the site now looks like from what it used to be. Now this is a clean install, but our page is still there. If we go back to our home page, let's cancel this and go back to our pages. Now new pages have been installed, but the one we created is still there. If we click to view it, you can see what we created is still there, but a starter template brings in their own. So about us, contact, and then home. Right, if I go back here, this is now what we have. Now how do we edit this with Elementor? Now you can do that in two ways. You can do that by going to the pages and then click on edit with Elementor, or come to where it is, and then on top you will see edit with Elementor. So let's choose this one, edit with Elementor. We can now close this. Now I want to see how we can now use Elementor to edit a page that has been built already. So a starter template or a pre-made template. Now I can see the structure that they have here. If you click on this, now you know how they all work. You know how it works. Now style, you can now know that the background is an image. If I remove it, nothing is going to be there. Right, so that's the structure that it worked with. Now I can see, let's try to dissect this and see what they did. This is the whole container. This is the full container, and of course it has it boxed. Then this is the inner one that they put inside, and the width is 100, and they have all of this inside here. If I go pull out the navigation, now this is the first container, the general container. This is the one inside it. There's a space between this one, so you can tell that this is under this one. If I click to open it, you can see a spacer. they use the spacer. So if I reduce the spacer, the space in between there reduces. So you can either use the spacer or use your padding to achieve the same results. So my heading is heading, this is also heading, and then this is the button, right? So this is if I want to change this one now, let's say we're still working on our tourism, don't change the image. I go back and then pull out all of these images came in from the starter template. Pull out what I want to use and then I select. Now you can see this changes. I can now make this one white because of contrast, so it's going to show well. Now when we do that, it's going to show properly. Now I want to change make some overlay because it's interrupting the text. Now I can do that and go to background overlay, what we did before. Choose the color, let's say you want to have it dark, and you can increase the opacity or reduce it here. Now this is how we very quickly, now what took us time to do initially is now taking us less time to do, right? So add endless potential and then explore. Explore can have its link here just the way it is, just the way the other one is. So essentially it's understanding what Elementor is, how it goes, and then how to work your way around it. That's what it is, right? So the same thing can happen here. Change your image, change the heading, the caption. This is the title, web design, change it, and then change the description. This is an info card, so change this one, and we just keep moving. Change the images. Let's try to change the image and see, use random images. But mind you, if you're going to use images, especially if they are going to be image widgets, they have to be the same height and width. If not, they are going to be different, they're going to vary. The only way to achieve that is to use a container, right, and make the background the image. So by doing that, what I mean is, if I duplicate this one here, and then I delete this one, so instead of bringing an image, I can now make the background the image. I can make the background the image. So if I click on this and I go to style and I choose a background, that I can say I want to make or do all of the editing that we did: center, default, repeat, no repeat, and then cover. Now that's the only way that I can make it retain its particular height. But if we're going to have it to be the same and you want to bring it as an image, then you have to resize it with an online resizer tool and all of that. So that's what you need to take note for the images. Make sure they're the same height when you're exporting them or when you're bringing them in. Okay, so the same thing happens here. About this, more like the one we built, about us, and then put in the text here. Change the image to whatever you want it to be, and then talk to us, right? Talk to us. You can make any edits here. You can also bring in more. Now you have some templates here. This is pages, and then this is blocks. Now blocks talks about individual sections, so you can just explore them here. Now you have something to work with. Explore them here. Let's say I want to choose this one. Now this is what it looks like. Just click on import block. It will take some time to import, few seconds. All right, now it's done importing, and then you can see. So this is a quicker way to build your page. So you pick a starter template, you just use Elementor to adjust, change the typography, change the wordings, change the picture, and then in shorter time you have your ready to go site, right? You can see how easy it is to build all of this. Now we have our about us page, right? Let's say this is going to be about the team or meet the team. Change it to meet the team. All right, then this can have a description. Change the team's image, do that here with image box and all of that. The social media handles, you can put them here. Click on this and then put the link here, right? So that's what it is basically. Now let's see the next page that we have, which is the about us page. If I click on view, open a new page, view, who we are, our mission, talk to us. You can do that by the same thing, edit to Elementor, so that we can adjust some of the things that are there. The same thing, I can reduce the overall height. We can reduce the height here so that it's not taking up all of the space. So who we are, you can also change the wordings of who we are to something else. You can put overlay, right? Depending on what you want for the site. They change the image, change the mission, change the heading, and then change the body, and then the same thing happens here. Now, what if you have something here already that you want to use in the other page? Right, let's say I like this and I want to use this. Just copy it, right? Copy, then go to where you have the empty space, right click on it, and then paste. Now that way it saves you a lot of time, so you don't have to recreate every item that you do. You saves you a lot of time, so you can now see that the same thing that we have here on the home page is what we now have here. So for instance, you may want to have the about the team on the home page to also show on the about us page. Just go to the home page where it is, right? Go to the home page where it is, and then copy this one and you paste it here, right? Paste it on a new one. Okay, so with that, we see how to customize a page that has been done already, like a pre-made template or starter templates that have been done. Now I want to step it up a little to what we now call Elementor Addons. Now Elementor Addons are, like the name is, they are additional things to Elementor. So how do we get that? They are also plugins. We go to our dashboard, we go to Elementor, and we go to dashboard, go to plugins, installed plugins. Now you can see any starter template that you bring in, that you import, it also comes with its own plugins. Now one of the plugins it came with is WP form, because of the contact form. It also came with one of the Elementor add-ons, which is Ultimate add-ons for Elementor Lite. Now let's see how do we get others. Click on add plugins. Now if you have any specific one in mind, you can just go ahead and search for it, but if you want to see all of them, just click on Elementor. Click on Elementor and you're going to see all of the add-ons that are there. Now we'll explore one or two, and then I'm going to leave you to experiment with the others. So now there's essential add-ons for Elementor, there is Royal Elementor add-ons, there's Ultimate add-ons, like name is, so you can see Elementor add-ons offering 100 plus widgets. So things like the gallery that we saw, the header, the images, they are also widgets that these add-ons can bring. More interactive ones, more beautiful ones, and all of that. Now there is Ultimate add-ons for Elementor, there is Premium add-ons for Elementor, there's Elementor Kit, and just explore all of them. All unlimited elements for Elementor. So I'm going to install just one. I'm going to install this essential add-ons for Elementor. Let's see what it has and how we can use it. So now that it's done installing, I'm going to click on activate, and then when I click on activate, I'm going to see the essential add-ons. Now what does it have? Get started with essential add-ons. Click to next step. I can also skip this if I want to skip this stage. Basic recommendation, creative buttons. I'm going to select next. Just trying to set up all of this. Plugins, I want to skip this for now, and then I'm going to finish. Alright, congrats, thank you. So I'm going to go back to the essential add-ons. Now we can see general, what is new, all of that, and then elements. Element now talks about things like creative button. Now you can experiment and see them here by clicking on this one here to see what it's like. This little icon here. If I click on it, you can see what creative buttons are. Now this is what the creative button looks like. Now some of these things are not in Elementor itself, right? They're not in Elementor. Some basic interaction, but if you want to have something more interactive, cancel. If you want to have something more interactive, you do that with add-ons. So you can see some of the buttons, some of these interactions that happens, and there's one that just changes like this. Yeah, that's what the creative button is for. I can cancel this and then just keep exploring them. Team member, click on team member to see what it's like. Now remember the team member that we saw. Now you can see what it's like. Different types. All of this interaction happens with the add-ons. You can let's check one more before we now import. I close this and then I go to testimonial. I want to see what testimonial looks like. So you can see different types of formats that they have for the testimonial, experiment. This one is another one. This is another. Now let's bring in testimonial and see. I cancel this and then I go back to the Elementor. Now this is not going to show yet just because you've installed the plugin. You normally should see it here under add element. You should see it here, but it's not going to show until you refresh the page. So you have to refresh this Elementor page, and before doing that, make sure you've clicked on publish so that all of the things you've been doing will not get lost. If I refresh this page, then I'm going to see what I just added, the essential add-ons for Elementor. Alright, so if I click on this plus and like I close all of this, let's try to close all of this, general, link in bio. Now can you see essential add-ons? Now that's where we have essential add-ons. If I go down, and I want to bring it here, let's say testimonial, this one here. Right, now you can make some edits here. All of this editing, you can do that here. Choose the style you want and have them, yeah, choose the style you want. So let's say I want to choose this one here. No, this one here, this one is fine. So you can now make customization to the images, what you want the size to be like, right? What you want the size to be like, and of course you can duplicate this to make it 2. Now let's duplicate this to make it 2, but let's have it side by side, horizontal, not vertical. We'll do that by clicking on this one and then making it horizontal. Now I want to duplicate again so it can be 3. Now you can see this is now horizontal. We have our testimonial here. Let's give it some padding and so yeah, some padding top and bottom. Give it 80 and give it 80. No, not you. Bottom, top and bottom, 80. Alright, so I go back and I want to finish editing this. So image, I can choose the image that I want to appear here. Let's say I want this one to appear. Something else, this. Now this is the image I want to appear, and I can also change the content. So you can see the same structure happens, right, for content, style, and advanced. So go to content. This is where you can now change the name of the person. Say David Michael, and that's the name I want. Codec, the person's company name, Google, and add testimonial. So you can now copy the testimonial and then add it from here. This is David Michael. The trip is well worth it. The trip is well worth it, and all of that. So this is David's testimonial that the trip is worth it. So you can now do the same thing by going to style, gradient background color. If you need to do that, background color, you can see it's having some background color now. User accompanying line breaker, just play around with this, border type, border radius, let's make it 8, and it's going to see some border radius has been added so that the edges are rounded as well. But I can remove it if I don't want it to be there. So the image, what's the width and size that I want the image to have? So do I want it to be small, do I want it to be large, and all of that, image height and so on. So I can remove this. The margin, the padding, the margin talks about the space. So padding, I can make the padding 8, and then border type and all of that. Content, we can change the color of the content, the username, we can change the typography and all of that. You can do all of those customization here. Rating, what is the color you want for the rating? As it change, it keeps changing. Then David Michael, Google, quotation, this one that shows here, what color do you want it to be? So do you want it to be absent? Just put that 0. Do you want it to be red? Depending on the brand color that you have. Alright, and then you can change the position from here as well. So for now it's 5. So that's how we now add extra things to our website. So you can do that, keep on experimenting with them. Go back here, see what they have more. Essential add-ons. So we can see, let's see the accordion. Click on this, and then click on this accordion. Essential add-ons, accordion here. So accordion shows you like more like FAQs, right? FAQs. And if I want to have it side by side, let's say I want to have it side by side, I can bring in my basic container. I duplicate it, but I want it to be horizontal. So I can have bring this meet the theme here and change it into, paste it here, FAQs, frequently asked questions. Ask questions, and then this is going to be aligned to the left. Then I'm going to bring the accordion here. So accordion, good. Now I want to take a lesser space, so I'm going to reduce the width, right, and then make this one longer. Now with that, you can see your accordion, and put the I want to give some padding as usual, 80, and then you can add more if you want to. You can add more if you want to. Accordion type, toggle, just change all of this accordion. So accordion shows you the title and then the body. You can do that, change the content by going to this place, add new content and all of that. So change the content, put in the header name here. So what is the travel like? Travel cost like? And then you put your answer here, right? And then when they click, they're going to see all of this. So that's one way to add extra functionality to your Elementor using add-ons. So it's going to be you can try it out, check out the Elementor add-ons that are there, that are remaining. So there are timer, countdown, and there is image, there is for video, there just a number of them, ton and ton and ton of them, right? That's what we have here. Off canvas and toggle testimonial sliders, and then you can just keep on experimenting from there. So that's introduction to Elementor. I hope this video was very helpful and it's going to help you keep scaling your design and your web development processes. Thank you for watching till this point. Please like and subscribe for more valuable tutorials like this, and also share so that more people can get to see these videos. See you in the next video. Bye.